Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after
Six 054-998-6996. Good morning to AJ Akuakusapo and to Kojo Akotoboateng.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Bernard?
Looking forward to the day. The weather is a bit mild today, around 24 degrees Celsius. Yesterday I saw a weather advice that it was going to rain in Accra, but it didn't really rain. Probably would rain today.
Sure.
So please, if you have to move out of the house, move out quickly.
And if you an umbrella.
And last night I made an observation. That's at 2 a.m. I was still driving around the city.
2 a.m.
Yes.
How is Accra 2 a.m. like?
Certain portions very dark, certain roads very dark. You'd see people sleeping in certain corners in some areas, like around Adabraka, around the Ridge area.
So there's a lot of people sleeping on the streets.
Yes,
in Accra.
Not I won't say a lot of people.
Some people.
But I saw some people sleeping on. And then the police, I think, were very proactive. Like the police I encountered.
So there were police on the road.
They were proactive.
2 a.m.
But the most important thing to be said was it was drizzling sort of. So you'd use your wiper, but there is no proper street lights. So you don't see ahead of you very well. The roads are undulating and potholes here and there. So it's not really cool to drive around that time.
Interesting stuff. So we're going to go straight into the newspapers. There's a lot to do this morning on the show.
Yes.
As AJ starting with the Ghanaian Times.
With the Ghanaian Times, government releases 124.5 million Ghana cedis for education to pay teacher trainee allowances and third term fees of free SHS.
Okay.
So Ghana records 2 deaths on peacekeeping operations in 2017. MTN launches IPO, targets 3.47 billion Ghana cedis, and let's reverse high-level malnutrition and obesity, says the president.
The Daily Graphic, minority raises red flag over new common fund allocation formula. MTN offers 35% ownership to Ghanaians, launches IPO to raise 3.47 billion Ghana cedis. Education Ministry releases third-term fees to schools, and Obinfo caged, charged with murder of Deputy CEO of NEIP.
They find that cabals robbed government of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in petroleum taxes, levies, and regulatory margins in 2017. Ghana on course to end hunger, says the president. MTN Ghana kickstart 3.47 billion Ghana cedis IPO, and Dr. Obing Ando, cleaner, remanded over the death of Stacey Ofei Dakum.
The Daily Guide, Obinfo doctor charged for murder. Rawlings is not God. Kofo returns fire. McMenu dismisses allegations. MTN launches IPO, and Amidi deputy takes office.
The Today newspaper, NHIA staff angry over management's refusal to pay their transfer grants. We don't want Major Mahama statue, La Youth protest. Ghana Zero Hunger report launched, and MTN launches IPO.
The Daily Heritage, MPs to sue government over diversion of petroleum funds. No payment for free senior high school for third term. Frustrated Charles runs the government for help. But if you listen to the other newspapers, you are told that some money has been released for free senior high school. MTN Ghana offers shares at 0.75, and Krowo MP gives 5 cars to support projects.
The Chronicle, deadly explosives found in the Nabdam forest. Court imposes over 150,000 cedi fine on 109 illegal miners in connection with crime. Operation Vanguard pounces on 38 miners, and Goldfields to release $21 million to reconstruct Takwa Damang Road.
Again? Because this road was constructed the last time we visited Goldfields. Anyway, the Daily Statesman, corruption fight not easy. President reminds Amidu's deputy, seeks dignified lives for Ghanaians. NDC blackmail at Metro Mass.
The new crusading guide, Kennedy Japan fires more salvos. Anas is a blackmailer and a whole lot of other things on the front page. We won't allow this guy to bring government down. Deputy Trade Minister defends Unipass. Minority kicks against government's new directive. And McMenu fights back, describes allegations against him as bogus.
The Independent Railway is coming. Eastern Line bidding started. The integrity of the process is as important as the construction, according to Honorable Jogati, the Minister of the sector. MTN floats 4.6 billion shares as it launches IPO.
The publisher also leads with Kennedy Japan, who is threatening Anas and seems to curse him with thunder as well. Well, Dr. Bimfo charged over death of NEIP boss, and MTN to raise 3.47 billion from IPO, and McMahon to sue GPHA union.
The BNFT BOG to introduce cybersecurity guidelines in weeks. Almost 1 billion Ghana cedis of ESLA receipts unreported. Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors calls for immediate audit. MOFA to the rescue of local tomato producers. MTN IPO chalks up industry first, seeks to raise 3.47 billion, and creation of new regions, implications for sustainable development. Gold
Street Business, 1.4 billion Ghana cedis petroleum revenue leakage recorded in 2017. 130 metric tons of maize set to trade on the Ghana Commodity Exchange, and MTN launches groundbreaking IPO.
And finally, the Herald, AG shames CID, Imani and NPP over Ameripower mischief. Freddie Blaze secret meeting in Dubai also revealed. Remember the issue to do with the AG's comment on the Ameri thing. We need to look at it deeper. Now, Rawlings tactically defers attack on Mahama and Kofor. A large shot stepping down for Freddie Blay, and you can't intimidate me. A+ tells Esla.
Moving on to citynewsroom.com. Free SHS minority threaten legal action over government use of oil funds. They say it's excessive. Also, ESLA threatens to sue A+ over libelous comments. Government illegally using common fund for NAPCO others. This is minority. And McMahon threatens to sue GPHA workers over corruption claims. So there's a lot of corruption claims and counterclaims. In fact, government officials are complicit in illegal trade of petroleum products. This is according to a report. And we're told revenue loss in petroleum taxes hits 1.8 billion cedis in 2017. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, that story is the same. Ghana lost 1.9 billion to illegal fuel trade in 2017, according to a report. Also, we're told MTN targets 3.47 billion cedis from IPO, and minority cautions government against move more tax waivers for MPS. Okay, My Joy Online lead story, Kelny GVG saga. The story says monitoring is important, finance minister justifies. Also, time out for Accra Tema motorway. Beyond free SHS, Achim Kotoku launches fund to support tertiary education, and Ghana's 1960 criminal law archaic Martin Kpebu pushes for reform. Peace FM Online leads with Anas is an extortionist and evil. He dares not travel out of Ghana. MPP MP swears to kill his career. And Zaneto partners Vodacom rips to launch flood monitoring app. So guys, let's start with what are we starting with?
So there are three big stories: the Obinfo story, Free Senior High School, and the ESLA receipts that are unreported. Okay. Which of them do you want me to start with?
So I think we should start with the Free SHS and all the issues to do with the use of oil resources. Because this Friday is actually an event we're organizing to discuss the use of sovereign wealth funds.
Yep.
So it's probably a good tie-in. So let's start with that one.
So the Daily Heritage says that no payment for Free Senior High School for third term. Frustrated Charles runs to government for help. Now on the same Free Senior High School, the Daily Graphic says that Education Ministry releases third term fees to schools. So let me give you the Daily Heritage, and I'll give you the update from the Daily Graphic.
Yes.
Now, the Daily Heritage story says that the Free Senior High School policy has been hit with a fresh setback due to the government's inability to release funds for the third term. The schools which are halfway through the current term are facing financial challenges in running the activities of the schools. In a statement seen by the Daily Heritage, the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools pleaded with the government through the Free Senior High School Secretariat to pay the third term grant without any further delay to ensure the smooth running of the term. Now, if you go to the Daily Graphic, page 58, the paper says that the government has released some money for the Free Senior High School
And while you are at that, the minority is threatening legal action over excessive use of oil funds to do free SHS. So let's hear the story first.
The Ministry of Education has released 124 million Ghana cedis to educational institutions as part of its commitment to quality education delivery in the country. It said an amount of 46 million, representing the third-term free senior high school fees, had been disbursed, adding that the disbursement was in addition to the payments made to the buffer stock company to provide food for the students.
Meanwhile, the minority has threatened to take the MPP government to court for excessively using the oil funds to support its flagship program, Free SHS. Minority spokesperson on finance, Kaziela Tuforsen, mentioned that the records of expenditure of oil revenue show that the distribution formula set out in the Petroleum Revenue Management Act has been sidestepped to fund the free SHS. The minority further alleged that government was diverting monies from Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund (GIIF) for the free SHS program. After the debate in Parliament on the annual report on petroleum funds, Atuforsen told City News that the government had deliberately breached the law and should face the consequences. Now, this is not the only complaint. Minority is also alleging that government is illegally using common funds for NAPCO and other programs. So the minority wants the government to withdraw its directive on the use of district assembly common funds to finance government flagship programs like the Nation Builders Corps. Now, they maintain such allocations are illegal. According to them, the said directive compels assemblies to spend 80% of their common funds on school feeding, Nation Builders Corps, and planting for food and jobs. So four programs have been mentioned. Addressing the media in Parliament on Tuesday, Deputy Spokesperson on Local Government, Benjamin Kodo, said the directive, if not withdrawn, will cause the collapse of some metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. We'll discuss this later on during the show.
There's a final story on oil, and then we can go to the others. Almost 1 billion Ghana cedis of ESLA receipts unreported. Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors call for immediate audit. BNFT page 3. The story says more than 915 million of petroleum taxes relating to the energy sector levies introduced to help clear the government's indebtedness to bulk oil distributors cannot be accounted for, according to independent computations done by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. In its industry report for 2017, the CBOD said the variance between its figures and what the Finance Ministry reported for 2016 and 2017 is mainly the result of transfer pricing, dumping of products meant for export on the local market, and smuggling. Now, its analysis of the National Petroleum Authority's data on the performance of oil marketing companies shows that the government failed to account for 576 million in 2016 and 339 million in 2017 of ESLA receipts. Now, Bernard, on the dumping of products and smuggling, we said here on this show that our initial calculations, that was early 2017, showed that the state was losing about 400 to 800 million Ghana cedis a year, which the vice president reacted to, and he said that we were going to do everything to prevent that. I have not seen any update on this. I believe that work is ongoing, but it will be fair for the government to update us that
fantastic,
you raise the concern, this is what we are doing, because this 915 million is a lot of money.
AJ.
Well, coming to the fine and also on oil, cabals rob government of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. So general revenue losses in petroleum taxes, levies and regulatory margins in 2017 hit 1.88 billion Ghana cedis. Out of the total amount, 148.93 million Ghana cedis was lost through transfer pricing, 339 million in unreported Energy Sector Levy Act ESLA receipts, and $1.4 billion through smuggling and export dumping. The country also lost 1.4 billion in taxes and regulatory margins from smuggling and export dumpings of petroleum products in 2017, according to a 2017 industry report by the Ghana Chamber of Oil Distributors, CBOD. It marks a 64.71% increase in revenue loss from the National Petroleum Authority's 2016 declared losses of $850 million. But coming to the Gold Street business as well, and it gives a different angle. It says it's 1.4 billion rather that was taken in 2017, and it went on to list that last year the MPA identified over 230 pre-mixed drug diversions, which potentially cost the state about 5.2 million Ghana cedis in illegitimate subsidies.
All right, now let's go to health. So there's a story about Obingfo Hospital. It led our news this, in fact, from yesterday we led with that story, and it's in the graphic now. What's this saying?
Also the Daily Guide. I want to give you the Daily Guide angle. Obingfo doctor charged with murder. Now the story says that medical director of Obingfo Hospital, a private medical center in Accra, Dominic Kwame Obing Ando, who who was arrested for allegedly causing the death of Stacey Ofedako, has been remanded into custody by an Accra District Court. The medical director and a cleaner at the hospital, Edward Amponsan, 46, were charged before the court presided over by Efua G. Saki for the alleged role in the death of Stacey Ofedako, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. Now, the story goes on to say that Stacey, according to the police, went to the hospital for a liposuction and fat transfer surgery, but died on Monday, May 21. Now, the doctor and a cleaner of the hospital took her to a morgue, and the body was rejected. They took her to a different morgue where the cleaner presented himself as the biological elder brother of the late Stacey. And she said the body was embalmed and preserved at the court that same day without the bereaved family or the police being informed about the situation.
When Citi News was aired this morning, we also spoke to the Pharmacy Council, and I think they said that they had done an investigation of the hospital and had appealed to the BNI to intervene in the activities of the hospital, but nothing had been done. So this is not the first time that somebody is complaining about the activities in the hospital. Now, AJ, I want you to take me to the MTN IPO, because I think it's an important story for local ownership, and that story is in almost every paper. MTN offers 35% ownership to Ghanaians, launch IPO to raise 3.47 billion Ghana cedis.
Well, coming to the Gold Street business, and leading mobile telecommunications service provider MTN Ghana has launched its initial public offering IPO on May 29th, offering up 35% of its equity. The action is in line with the National Communications Authority's condition for granting the telecom giant the license to offer 4G Lite mobile internet services to its customers, which took effect in June 2016. MTN is expecting to raise 3.48 billion Ghana cedis by issuing 4.64 billion shares. The offer, expected to end on July 31st, is for 0.7 cedis per Ghana cedis per share, and the minimum subscription for each qualifying applicant must be for a minimum of 10 offering shares amounting to 7.5 or 7.7 cedis 50 pesos, and thereafter any additional offering shares subscribed must be in multiples of 10 amounting to 7 cedis 50 pesos with no maximum on subscription.
Now, this is significant because it takes government policy to redirect the direction of FDI. So MTN is a huge company, one of the largest in the country. So the government says if you want a 4G license, you need to give up some of your company to Ghanaians. So they're offering technically 33%, because they're offering 35% in this IPO, but 5% of that can be taken by foreigners. So if you calculate our 33%. So I think Ghanaians, if they think it's a good buy, should buy it. Or I mean, that one is advice from whatever the people who do the analysis. But my point is that I'm happy the government put that condition there, that if you want a 4G license, you can't be fully foreign owned. And I think that this should translate into the banking sector, other sectors where the government can say, you know what, there are new licenses coming. If you want us to give you those licenses, you need to involve the locals. So I commend the government for the policy idea that drove MTN to do this.
To be interesting to hear from the GIPC boss, because there's a story that says that they quoted him as saying that he would not really tie or force foreign companies to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange to also launch their IPOs.
But it depends on the sector, doesn't it? It does. In fact, yesterday somebody said this should be translated to banking, to manufacturing, to agri, in sectors that we think that local ownership is critical. So that's an interesting one. Now, in terms of monies being released, government releases 200 million cedis to Sanitation Ministry. Now, the reason I'm reading this story is that, don't forget, the country is on the quest, or the president has said he wants to make this city the cleanest on the continent. So we are in May, right? May is ending. Now, Nana Keleja reports that the government has released 200 million cedis to the Ministry of Water and Sanitation to help address sanitation problems facing the country. Sector Minister Kofi Ada stated. He said the amount released on May 24, which is a couple of days ago, would enable the ministry tackle water, sanitation, hygiene challenges, clear illegal dump sites, and also procure new waste management trucks and equipment for the various regional capitals in the country to carry out their routine waste management works. Speaking at an urban sanitation forum in Accra yesterday, Mr. Kofi Ada further announced that Cabinet had approved the release of about 80 million cedis to settle outstanding debts. So they're running out of excuses.
Okay. Now they can't tell us they don't have money.
Thank you for that one.
Anyway, let's go to local government, page 16 of the Daily Graphic. Minority raises red flag over new common fund allocation formula.
I just read that when you did the story.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Sorry.
So I read that there are two stories. They're saying that the common fund is being used for NAPCO It's being used for planting for food and jobs and other things. And they're also saying that they are diverting monies meant for the infrastructure fund for free SHS. So those are two very serious allegations. Now take me to railway, and then AJ will come to the finder.
Before, let me give you a quick headline in connection to sanitation. So 50% of Ghana's public basic schools lack hygiene facility for girls. 50%.
That's interesting. The railway story in the Independent says what?
It says the Ministry of Railway Development on Tuesday, 29th May 2018, received qualification documents for bidding for the Eastern Line Railway project. The 15 consortiums that offered their bidding documents involved Ghanaian investors as well as investors from China and the USA. The meeting was to adore the consortiums that presented their documents. The technical proposal will be evaluated, and at a later date, the financial documents will also be looked at. Speaking at the event, Mr. Yofi Grant, who is the CEO of the GIPC, encouraged the bidders of how his outfits and the country as a whole are happy to receive their offer. With Ghana developing, it is significant to have a railway infrastructure in the country, he added. You remember the advertorial that we read, that the government of Ghana and the government of Burkina Faso were receiving bids for the railway.
So for the past week, we've been receiving stories which are like updates on things being done, but we need the railway lines. You know, we are happy with the story, but we are tired of this story. Now there are a couple of things. Ghana Card, stop wasting taxpayers' money. Nana Ofori also blast government. Now there's a video circulating of Kennedy Japan making some very serious allegations against the NIA and claiming that the 1.2 billion dollars being spent is a complete waste of money. Now the first story I have here is from Peace FM Online. It says aspiring chairman of PPP, Nana Ofori, has expressed resentment over the country's national identity card registration. Now, Executive Secretary of NIA, Professor Atefa, has announced the commencement of the Ghana card registration on May 28. Now, addressing a program on Peace FM, Nana Ofori wondered why the government had to restart the identity card registration all over when there had been previous work done. He asked the NIA about the unwillingness to continue to improve upon the previous registration, questioning the authority's logic to a new database when there's already an existing one. He also lambasted the move, further wondering if the money spent on registration in previous years will therefore go waste by virtue of the fact that the current administration won't rely on previous databases to register Ghanaians for the Ghana card. Now, then there's more, right?
Yes, Kennedy Japan in the Informer, and then MPP Firebrand Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Honorable Kennedy Japan, would describe or is describing as pure thievery the purported $1.2 billion cost of the implementation of the new national ID. So the MPP nonconformist has turned his spleen on the authorities at the NIA led by its Executive Director, Professor Ken Atefa, after the continuous failure by the NIA to implement the project, and said the amount of $1.2 billion was a complete fraud being perpetrated against Ghanaians because only $50 million could have been used to execute the said job.
Now, there are more details on this that I think we will discuss later, because again, we organized a roundtable 2 years ago at the World Bank to discuss national identity cards. We had everybody who mattered in the field. Now we're being told that we produce 89 million smart ID cards over 15 years at a cost of $1.2 billion. Dollars. We will compare that cost to what other countries are doing and find out whether this is the best way of doing this.
Okay.
Now let's come to you in the BNFT.
On Monday, we read a story about tomato that we're importing OPPP from Burkina Faso.
500 million, I think.
Billion.
No, 500 million.
In SEFA.
Yes.
Yes. Now, the BNFT says that Moffat to the rescue of local tomato producers. The story says that the Ministry of Food and Agric is taking steps to address the perennial challenges facing farmers, transporters, and other stakeholders in the tomato value chain. So, a deputy minister in charge of horticulture, George Boahinodro, has said the ministry is doing all it can to go to the aid of those in the value chain. This follows threats by some people in the BA that they would block the Ghana-Burkina highway to stop people from importing tomatoes from Burkina, because they also produce tomatoes, but they were not being bought. It will be interesting to know the action plan that the ministry has for tomato.
Now, a couple of questions. AG Shames CID
Imani and MPP over AmeriPower mischief.
That story.
This is the Herald.
Okay.
Now, the story says that Attorney General Gloria Kufu has not only ended a 4-year political mischief by elements of the NPP on the $510 million AmeriPower plant, but has also exposed the acting national chairman, Freddie Blay, and several others in the ruling party as being unfriendly towards honesty. ahead of the leakage of the AG's report warning the Energy Ministry to end its plan of terminating the Ameri deal because it is free from corruption and it will land the country in huge judgment debt. Many MPP elements had been captured in negotiations with the owners of Ameri to act at their linkment to the Akufo-Addo government. So this story is coming up, but it will be interesting to know the various positions on this Ameri deal. If we capture the whole thing in totality, then we would understand what the AG's opinion really is.
Well, on today's episode of Board Chair versus Company, the board chairman of Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority, Peter McMahon, has threatened to sue some senior and junior staff union of the authority for spewing lies against him. He indicated that he will consult his lawyer and will pursue legal action against the union for defamatory comments against his personality and saying all the allegations of corruptions leveled against him were fabrications to tarnish his image.
All right, now I'm ending with two Africa stories. Buhari to reduce age limit for political office in Nigeria. So now to contest for an assembly member in Nigeria, you would have to be only 25. Minimum age for president has moved down from 40 to 35, which means technically if I were Nigerian, I could contest for president because I'm not yet 40. And if to be a senator in Nigeria, the age has dropped from 35 to 30. So which means that, Kojo, you can. And the minimum age for assembly is now 25, so you can be an assembly member. So we are part of the Buhari. The other story is indeed about Mali. So Mali's president is seeking re-election, and France offered the gentleman who saved the baby from the
Spider-Man
the window a job in the fire service. Mali's president is offering him a job in the Mali army
on behalf of the gentleman. We don't want it. Mr. President, keep your job.
No. If you're serving your country,
how much money?
Serving your country. No. You see, this is the thing we do.
Don't want the
job. No, Kojo, it's not right. For me, the call of national service is the highest call. If your country says, I'm not forcing him, but if your country says, come and be a soldier,
yes,
and you have the skills,
but France is saying,
you shouldn't sit on air and say you should be a firefighter in France when your country needs you in this army. That's very wrong. Change your mind. It's bad. So please come and help. Okay, come and help your country.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Honey, I'm off to run some errands and pay the bills.
Do you really have to go out? I'm sure your Fidelity app can sort out your errands. Use it.
But I need to pay the DST.
Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer.